In less than 2 hours, Godongwana will attempt for a second time to deliver the budget. The stakes are high as the finance minister tries to balance runaway government costs with a limited revenue pool. For the latest, let's go to my colleague Nompumelelo Siziba, who's in Cape Town. Good afternoon, Nompu. We find ourselves once again in Cape Town, hoping that the budget will be tabled. And if what Bulelani and the minister had to say looks like everything will be going ahead as planned, what do you have for us?
Welcome to the parliamentary precinct here in Cape Town. It's just under 2 hours before Finance Minister Godongwana is set to deliver its 2.0, of course, of 2025. We know the reasons why the original budget was not tabled on the 19th of February, and we're hopeful that come today everything will flow. But we've heard already that there is still some disagreement about the possibility of a VAT increase. Of course, they're not talking about a 2 percentage point increase anymore. That's why it was cancelled. That is the 19th of February. But there is talk that there may be a VAT increase on the table, the magnitude of which we're yet to find out. We're going to be covering, of course, the budget as we have been all day with my colleagues Abra Barbia and Griselda Lewis, who's standing by for us somewhere in Gauteng. Let's cross to Griselda. Griselda, over to you.
Well, that's right, Nompu, as you correctly pointed out, just under 2 hours now to that expected delivery of the budget speech by the Finance Minister, Godongwana. A number of concerns from various industries, including the alcohol industry and the usual syntax, as they refer to it. Concerns about that and what possible increase we could see there. Now, what we've heard from the national liquor traders is that over the years, as you've seen these increases in syntax, products have become basically unaffordable. And with the unaffordability, we've seen a number of fake and illegal products on the streets. And we understand from the national liquor traders that the industry is being cost 20 billion rand as a result of illegal as well as fake products on the street. I want to bring in now Lucky Timane of the National Liquor Traders who will talk to us now. Lucky, thank you very much indeed for your time. First of all, your expectations. We've consistently seen an increase in what we refer to as syntax. Whether that's going to happen, to what extent at 2 o'clock, if the budget goes ahead, what are your expectations?
We do expect that there will be an increase that will be above inflation to be announced by the minister this afternoon. And we're quite concerned that these increases are something that we cannot sustain as small business owners. But also, if you look into it with the rumors of a VAT increase as well, it means it's a double whammy. And we're quite concerned that these increases are something that we cannot sustain as small business owners. But also, if you look into it with the rumors of a VAT increase as well, it means it's a double whammy for us because we have to now contend with the VAT increases as well as the SS duty thereof. So this is something that is going to really hit our businesses very hard. But we know that the people that are going to celebrate out of this are the illicit and counterfeit alcohol dealers, because this is a great benefit for them. They don't pay tax, they don't pay any excise duties whatsoever. So people that are struggling to afford our products are going to now move into the illegal channel. That is a big worry for us.
When I spoke to you a bit earlier on, you spoke about about 20 billion. That's what it's costing the industry at the moment. I mean, it's very difficult even to tell whether you're consuming the right or the wrong product. And you spoke about the unaffordability of your products now, which has seen this industry actually become much bigger.
To put this into perspective, the illicit and counterfeit alcohol in South Africa is worth 20 billion rand annually, which means that if this was a company, it would be the second biggest alcohol company in South Africa after South African breweries. So we are dealing with a monster, and these guys, they're now operating in such a way that they can even produce the products that makes it difficult for the brand owners to even tell the difference. That is scary. So now it's even more difficult for our consumers to now tell the difference when they're buying these products, whether they're buying a legal or a counterfeit or illicit product. This is a big concern for us, and we're hoping that government will actually find a way in which to address this issue of illicit and counterfeit alcohol before we see it becoming a runaway train. Just our neighbors in Mozambique, 73% of the alcohol in that country is illegal or counterfeit alcohol. In East Africa, that number sits at about 64%. So this is something that if we are unable to manage as a country, it is going to be something that becomes a health haphazard, not only for the liquor traders, but also for the consumers that we're dependent on to support our businesses.
Yeah, Lakin Ndimane, thank you very much indeed. We do appreciate your time. Lakin Ndimane of the National Liquor Traders talking to us about their expectations ahead of what is that expected budget, Nompu, at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Always seemingly an expectation that there will be an increase in sin tax, but the concern from the liquor industry at this particular stage is that you have an industry which is now beset with about, as he indicated, about 20 billion rand in the cost to illegal and fake alcohol that is now on the streets as a result of unaffordability within the sector. And they're saying that they're seeing that this illicit trade that is taking place has been on the increase for quite some time now. Nompu, it's back to you.
Thanks very much, Criselda. Well, here in the parliamentary precinct, I'm joined by Clotilde Angelucci. She's the acting project lead at Advocacy Campaign, and Ruben Johannes, the director of tax at Deloitte Africa. Let me start with you, Clotilde. Thank you very much for joining us. So your interest is about the youth. You are at Youth Capital. What is it that you're hoping that the finance minister will be speaking to in terms of boosting the chances of employment for the youth?
So thank you. So 1 in 2 young people in South Africa are unemployed, and we know that unemployment drives poverty and inequality. So our focus will really be on where the minister is empowering young people to connect with opportunities to make money. And public employment programs have really demonstrated the ability of impacting employment. But the funding has been scarce, it's been inconsistent, and that has created uncertain exit pathways for young people.
Yeah. Before I let you go, because I know you're rushing somewhere, what is it you would be hoping that the finance minister would be able to provide?
So last year, the minister extended the funding for the presidential employment stimulus and in the specific for the basic education employment initiative, but then the funding didn't really materialize. The program didn't happen, and we lost over 200,000 work opportunities for young people. So we're really hoping for funding for the presidential employment stimulus, including the teacher's assistant program, not just for 1 year, for the medium to long term. We really need that consistency and long-term funding to improve the design of these programs and exit pathways connecting with the private sector.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you go. That was Clotilde Angelucci, the acting project lead at Advocacy Campaign. Thank you very much, Ruben, for joining us yet again. Just thought it would be apt for us to have a chat one more time, maybe cover a little bit of old ground. But what is it that you think that the finance minister needs to do to balance the books well enough, given all the controversy around the VAT?
Yeah, so we're trying to raise a revenue of around 2 trillion rand, right? And as much as we've been speaking about VAT is of course an important component of our tax collections. It accounts for 35% of our total tax revenue collections. Personal income tax accounts for 40% of those collections. And if you look at the past year and what the revenue collections to date have been doing, you'll see that on a personal income tax side, overall we're actually down in revenue collections by some 4 billion rand, despite the fact that we've had the two-pot system implemented and people withdrawing from that, and that's raised additional revenue of 11 billion rand on its own. But from a personal income tax point of view, we're still down by 4 billion. We're also down on import VAT as well as on fuel levies, and ironically the reason for that, some 30 billion, the reason for that is actually load shedding. So as a result of a lack of load shedding over most part of last year, there's actually been less importing of solar products. There has been less diesel used by Eskom to power their turbines, and so that is why we're looking at a 19 billion rand shortfall at this stage in terms of revenue collections. Now looking forward, the minister's obviously tried to raise 60 billion rand with the 2% VAT increase, and he's given some of that back, or that's what's been proposed, to give some of that back, 2 billion rand, by broadening the basket of zero-rated goods. If we don't see a 2% VAT increase, I think we'll also may not see that broadening of the zero-rated basket. I think we will see an increase in fuel levies, and I think we won't see an inflationary adjustment to the lower tax brackets.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Ruben, for your time and speaking to us. Ruben Johannes, the Director of Tax at Deloitte Africa. Talking about the fuel levies, so in the budget that wasn't tabled on the 19th of February, the National Treasury had resolved not to raise fuel levies, fuel taxes, but there's a chance that they may have to tap onto that. They also didn't raise or reduce the medical tax credits that we enjoy, those of us who are employed and on medical aid. They may decide to trim that down if they're not able to get that 2 percentage point increase, which they are highly unlikely not to, which is why the original budget was cancelled or postponed in the first place. So without further ado, I will hand it back to studio. And of course, we will have more for you as we get closer to that 2 o'clock.
Thanks, Nompu.